With the new King Kong movie right around the corner, I am fully aboard the hype train. So of course I binged everything that is in the MonsterVerse, but that's not very much, only 3 movies, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Kong, Skull Island. So with those out of the way, I decided, I need some more King Kong. And then I remembered a movie that I enjoyed watching quite a bit when it came out, 2005's King Kong, directed by Peter Jackson. I was excited to see it, but then I remembered that not everybody liked this movie. So then it got me thinking, do I like this movie? Am I just remembering it wrong? The movie definitely isn't perfect, and I can understand people's complaints, but I think there's more good than bad to be found here. So that's why I decided to take a look today and let you know all the things I like about 2005's King Kong. Just a warning, I am going to spoil the movie. If you're wondering if you should just watch it, I'd say yeah, go ahead and do it. But remember, this is a movie that came out in 2005 based on a movie that came out in 1933, and so you probably know what's going to happen in it. King Kong was released on December 14th, 2005. It was directed by Peter Jackson, who was fresh off of directing The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, which had just won Best Picture and got him the Oscar for Best Director. With that trilogy of films making almost $3 billion, Peter Jackson had a blank check to make anything he wanted to, so the passion project that he went after was a remake of one of his childhood favorites, King Kong. He wanted to redo it all with new technology that had been invented specifically for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, using motion capture to have somebody play Kong instead of just, a little puppet. And though the movie isn't remembered quite as fondly as I would hope it would be, it did have a good response when it came out. King Kong went on to have an opening weekend where it made $50 million, with a total domestic box office earning of $218 million. This is the 11th highest grossing movie in the United States in 2005. So, people went and saw this thing. People, kind of liked it. At least you'd think so, until you looked at the reviews. Critics liked it, with sitting at an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score, it's split 50-50 if you're going to like this movie. And I think the big thing that most people would complain about when it comes to this movie is just how long it is. It's over 3 hours long. I can understand an epic like The Lord of the Rings being over 3 hours long, but this movie's story is very simple. And it isn't just the runtime itself, it's how the movie is split up. You get over an hour until you even see King Kong. That being said, I don't really want him to cut anything out of the movie either. I enjoy the characters, I enjoy spending time with them, and I'm sad when they die. Because a lot of them do. King Kong is about a director who wants to make a movie. And though Carl, played by Jack Black, really is driving the story forward, our main character is actually going to be Ann Darrow, played by Naomi Watts, who is a vaudeville performer who dreams of bigger roles. When the show that she's putting on gets shut down because it's the Great Depression, she's got nowhere else to go. So she gets talked into going on this trip. But it really isn't hard to talk her into it because she does have a crush on the person who wrote the screenplay, Jack Driscoll, played by Adrien Brody. Now, Adrien Brody, with this and The Predators, he just gets these action roles for some reason. You look at him and he just doesn't seem like an action guy to me. It's like me being in an action movie. I just wouldn't believe it. With everybody on the boat, we're on our way to Skull Island. You have your crew who's making the movie, and you've got your crew of the ship. Let's talk about the movie crew first. These guys are completely dedicated to making this movie, so much so that they are willing to die and sacrifice themselves so that would happen. Specifically, Herb, the cameraman. I'm not really okay with him just sacrificing himself. He completely just gives up on trying to fight to live so that the movie can live on.
Take the tripod! Come on! You gotta leave me!
It just doesn't seem right to me. Herb, you deserve better. If we're going to talk about the movie crew, though, we need to make sure to talk about Bruce Baxter, played by Kyle Chandler, who is probably my favorite character in the entire movie. This guy rides that fine line between being, a jerk and being likable. I understand his motivations more than just about everybody. He's an actor. He wants to be famous. He wants to make money. That's what he's in it for. But at the same time, he isn't completely heartless. When it comes to Anne being kidnapped and taken back to the island, he is gung-ho to go back and try to save her. But when things get too crazy, then he's cutting out.
All right, we gotta get back to the ship. Englehorn sails in 9 hours. Miss Darrow was a great gal. No question. She was a wonderful person. It's a terrible loss, and we're all gonna miss her.
Only to then completely redeem himself by bringing back everybody to save them in their time of need. But as awesome as Bruce Baxter is, he doesn't save the film crew in being the best of the two groups. No, the ship's crew is definitely better. You got Captain Inglehorn. You got Mr. Hayes and Jimmy, a great pairing who really is the only emotional death that I get in the entire movie. And then, of course, you got Lumpy, played by Andy Serkis, who actually has a double role in this movie because he's going to play King Kong as well. Andy Serkis is probably the most underrated character actor that I can think of off the top of my head. He's always given 100%, whether it's playing Gollum in Lord of the Rings,
Nobody likes you.
playing Claw in the MCU, playing Lumpy in this movie, playing Kong in this movie. The fact that Andy Serkis will go into a studio and at this time, just be by himself, but act out. And then the fact that the animators and the people who come in with the computer and fix everything up and just make him look so good. And this guy, he just, gives it his all. And it's a lot of fun to watch him doing anything that he does. The movie really does pick up once everybody gets to the island. There are the problematic natives, and then they're even worse when everybody goes back to New York and they put on a show telling how they found King Kong. At this point in the movie, everybody's on the island looking for Andaro, who has been kidnapped by the natives and then sacrificed to King Kong. So he's grabbed her and taken her into the forest. But Carl still wanted to make his movie, and so he has Bruce come over to stand in front of some dinosaurs, and so he can get a shot of him so that people will be amazed at everything he's seeing on the island. While they're doing this, some velociraptors attack the brontosauruses, and then they start running down this canyon. And so you get a scene where you are following our heroes as they're trying to evade a stampede of brontosauruses while also trying to not get eaten by a bunch of velociraptors. And so it goes from that. And then all of a sudden they're running on the edge of a cliff. And then all of a sudden they're trying to climb up a cliff. And then all of a sudden all of the brontosauruses are having a huge pileup and they're falling all over each other. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And I love it. I can understand why people wouldn't. For some people, it's just too much. You want to have a simple story, or you want to have a complex story with complex characters. And that's just not here. The fight between King Kong and the V-Rexes is definitely one of the high points for me. I love the musical themes written by Howard Shore that are in here. It's big, it's over the top, but it fits. It's what this movie is. It's big, it's over the top, and it isn't afraid to be those things. The movie eventually ends up with us back in New York City with Kong being captured, where he gets to spend one more super cheesy, overly romantic scene with Anne, where they ice skate and are laughing and snow's going everywhere. Before the military shows up and starts trying to blow him up. And they don't just try to blow him up. Man, they're shooting these guns and these tanks just like in the middle of New York City. People were not afraid of collateral damage, it seems like. And it isn't even like this monkey is hurting that many people. Sure, he's picked up a couple ladies and just kind of tossed them here and there. But he's not like smashing down entire buildings or anything. Needless to say, they chase him to the top of the Empire State Building. And up there, he fights the planes. He does his best, gets a couple of them, but eventually the planes get him. But Carl would disagree with me and say it wasn't the planes that got him.
It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
And then the movie just ends. I don't know, it's hard for me to put into words why I like this movie. And I think that's hard to put into words why we truly like anything. It might have to do with like when I saw it first. Because I remember going to see this movie. We went and saw it for my brother's birthday. I remember going to see this movie for a second time. It was for a field trip with my sign language class. And the people behind us were eating pickles. And my friend who was sitting next to me complained about it the whole time. Maybe that's why I like the movie so much. Because it reminds me of being in high school. Because it reminds me of a simpler time. So anyway, what do you think is the best thing about King Kong? Or do you have a movie that you like that you just really can't explain why it is you like it? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below.